Hello everyone, welcome back to my Sitecore Diaries, your ultimate guide to digital experience excellence. I'm your host Jitendra, and today we are diving in, we are diving into the xConnect. We will be starting from where we left from in the last video. So this is the continuation of the last part. But before we get started, make sure that you follow me on all my social media accounts. You can find the links right here on the screen. Stay connected for the latest update. So let's start the remaining part of the xConnect. So let us take a sneak peek at what's coming up in today's video. We'll have an overview of some of the concepts like contacts, interaction, events, and facets. And at the last, we will see what is xConnect model and API. So let's start our journey of xConnect. xConnect introduced in the Sitecore version 9.0. Performance was the major issue in the lower version. This is because data events had to bind with the pages and collected data had to go through the Sitecore.kernel DLL before saving in XDB. Now we have a data collection API as a separate layer, which is called as xConnect, and this layer will have a separate IaaS site. Any non-Sitecore application can send data to XDB using a xConnect layer. The only condition before sending the data is the third-party client must be trusted a client of the xConnect. So how will you define xConnect? xConnect is a service layer that sits in between the XDB collection database and XDB index and any trusted client or device that want to read, write, or search contact and interaction data. Is a game changer. Nutshell, the data flow between XDB and CM/CD or third-party applications is orchestrated through a OData framework, while Solar Cloud, Azure Search, SQL, or MongoDB are the backbone of the indexing and storage. Summarize it. First of all, we have when you install the Sitecore, you will have a dedicated blank website in the IaaS that is called as your instance name .xConnect IaaS website. Sitecore uses a 2 SSL certificate with a private and public key to communicate with the client. So if the client want to interact with the xConnect server, it must open the SSL connection by using a correct client certificate. Then it utilizes the OData framework, which is actually nothing but the best practices for building and consuming the RESTful API. And xConnect offers an API to fetch and add contacts, facet interactions, and other experience platform entities directly to the XDB. This slide that xConnect has uses a 2 web service and 1 Windows service. So 2 web services are collection service and search service. Collection services receives the contact and interactions data, whereas the search service not only searches the contacts and interaction, you can also collect the data from it. Both these services, the collection services and search services, can be hosted on IaaS and Azure App Service, whereas you have a search indexer that is basically a Windows service, which adds and update the contact and interaction data and also re-index the XDB so that you will get always the latest update, and this can be hosted on Windows Service and Azure Web Job. Now we will see a few more entities like what is contacts, interactions, events, and facets. Okay. First of all, contacts. A contact represents an individual who interact with or may potentially interact with your organization. So who will be interacting with your organization or may be potentially interact with your organization is a contacts. Okay. Contacts as represented by the class sitecore.xconnect.contact and are uniquely identified by ID within the XDB. These IDs are generated by service layer when the contact is saved and should not be saved outside the XDB. So basically contacts, as I said, it is someone who is interacting with your organization. Say someone who is interacting on or browsing on your website. Okay, so those contacts are stored in the XDB, and when it is stored in the XDB, it generates the ID, okay, which is identifier for that contact. Contact also have one or more identifier that identifies the contact to system outside the XDB. So it's the ID which is the identifier in the XDB, but for outside representation. Okay, like if there is any user who is coming for the Facebook, there might be a Facebook ID which is can be your identifier, or email address can be another outside identifier. Okay, so that is also another identifier which they has. So there are two types of contacts. We have a known contacts and anonymous contact. Known contacts have at least one known identifier. So you can identify that user. Like if you are storing the email, so that you know who is that contact. So that is your known contact. Anonymous contact only have anonymous identifiers. The Sitecore tracker create a contact. Okay, Sitecore tracker create a contact during the web session. So whenever the user is browsing the website or customer is browsing the website, the contact gets created in the web session. So it is in the session. Okay, and once on the session end, the records will get submitted to xConnect. So till the time the session is not end, it will be there. It will not be there in the XDB. So once as soon as the session is ended, that contact details is get submitted to the xConnect. Uh, so xConnect is responsible to do the contact merge. So what is contact merge now? So contact merge is a process where your anonymous contact is identify themselves as a contact that already exists. So you have already have a known contact. So your anonymous contact is browsing your website. Okay, and it's stored in the session. And once it is stored in the session and session end, that is throws to the xConnect. Now you have a same user, same contact, but with a different, maybe it's a different details in an anonymous contact. So xConnect identifies that this is the existing contact. So it merge it, okay, so that we can have only one contact there. Now a interaction. An interaction is a describe any touch point, okay, any point at which contact interfaces with a brand either online or offline. So it can be online or offline. So any interaction which is happening with a contact interface with a brand. Okay, so any contact who is interacting with your brand your we can say a website. It can be online or offline. So that is called as an interaction. So the class which is used is sitecore.xconnect.interaction by the interactions and must have at least one event. So interaction should have at least one event associated with the interaction. Interaction do not have an explicit type. Interaction engagement value is the sum of the engagement value of the interaction event. So interaction engagement value is something which is the sum of the all the event which is associated with that interaction. Interaction model is extensible with a custom facet. So let's see what is event. An event is anything significant that occurs within the context of interaction, such viewing a page or making a purchase in a physical store. So event is basically it's a context in your interaction context, whatever user is doing. Like if you are it is clicking on any button or viewing a page, purchases something, that is the event. Event ultimately inherit the sitecore.xconnect.event class and are represented by the event collection on the interaction class. All events are triggered with an event model, an event definition ID, and a timestamp. So event models determine what is be collected when an event is triggered. xConnect ships with the following default event model. So now we are going to see what are the default event models we have. So it's a event, goal, outcome, campaign event, download event, search event, page view event, personalization event, MV test event, MV test triggered event, and change profile score event. So events is anything significant that occurs within the context of interaction, such viewing a page or making a purchase in a physical store. So if you consider it event is a normal term also, if you are using ASP.NET, you have a different event. It's a similar event, but it is the events which are triggered by the contact. Then we will see facet. The facet is an information that enrich a contact or an interaction. So it is basically a storyteller of your contact or interaction. You can utilize the Sitecore default facet, or you can also create your own facets. A facet is made up of a facet model and a facet definition. Facet models are a class that inherits sitecore.xconnect.facet. A facet definition associated a facet model with a key and assign it to an entity. So basically facet definition is associated with either a contact or an interaction. Facets are defined in a collection model which must be deployed to xConnect before you can use it. So facet, once you define in collection model, if you any new facet is added, that needs to be deployed on the xConnect before you can use it. Contact facet should be describe the qualities of the contact, not their behavior. So what is contact facet? It's basically define what are the qualities of your contact. Okay, it should not define the how it behaves, the how the context is behaving. Interaction facet should be describe the entire interaction. So there is another facet which is called as the interaction facet that should describe the entire interaction of a contact. So we have just gone through the contacts, interactions, facets. Okay, so we will. This is just a introduction of those things, but we will have a separate video on those things in detail. Okay, for this scope of this video, we are just understanding what are those concepts. Okay, what are those definitions of those contacts, interactions, events, etc. Okay, now we are going to see xConnect model and API. So xConnect model. The xConnect model is a representation of the structure type data that is connected by xConnect. So it is a blueprint of the data structure and type which is collected by the xConnect. Okay. So what does it defines? First, it defines the contact and interaction facets such as a personal information and IP information. Those kind of a thing is defined more in the xConnect model. Event types such as the goals, outcome, that is also defined in the xConnect model. All CLR types such as a system.string or custom classes used by the facet and event, all are defined in the xConnect model. The xConnect model is made up of a smaller partial model. So it is a multiple partial models comes together that create the xConnect model. It hosts a JSON version of all partial models. The xConnect app, the path basically app underscore data slash model folder in the xConnect will have a JSON representation of all the model. When a new model is created, it must be deployed to the xConnect before it can be used. So if you are adding a new model, you have to deploy that into the website. Facet and event must be unique within a model and across the reference model. The default facets are stored in the this DLL sitecore.xconnect.collection.model DLL. Now, what is xConnect API? The xConnect Client API is a portable web API that allows a trusted clients to create, read, update, and search contacts interaction over a HTTPS. Why it is used for? Okay, what is the use of Client API? First, it works with the search, it works with the interaction, it works with the contact. We want to remove data, it works for that, and it want to extract the data, then also you have to use the Client API. By default, the xConnect Client API is asynchronous, but if there is a synchronous approach which you want to proceed, then there are synchronous version of most extension methods. Most of the extension methods are available. It available in the class sitecore.xconnect.client.xconnect synchronous extension, and these class contain the extension method for all those methods. The xConnect Client API support a batching xConnect operation, so you can have a batch of operations also. So batches of operation are serialized, sent to the xConnect over HTTPS, and deserialized by the xConnect service layer. The xConnect Client API is configured by using a path file, and that patch file. Then that patch file is under appconfig sitecore xconnect.client.configuration, and the file name is sitecore.xconnect.client.config. Okay, so if I summarize this, xConnect model is basically where it defines the structure and the data type of your model, collected data, contacts collected data, or collection data, okay, which basically contains your contact and interaction facet. Example like personal information and IP. It also contains the event and all the scalar types, system string or any custom class which you want to use it. Okay, where the xConnect API is basically a portable web API that allows to do a functionality like working with search, interaction, contacts, and removing data, extracting your data. Okay, it is asynchronous by default, but if you want a synchronous way, then there is a class which you can utilize it. It has an extension method which can help you to do this asynchronously. So we have done for today. So today we have just gone through the basic of xConnect. We might have a more videos on this where we will go in detail. We might see some code and other things. For this is just an introduction of xConnect. So we have understand today what is its application role, how the data is flow, what are contact, interaction, facet, xConnect model, API. I hope you like this video. If yes, then please click on the like button and upvote this video. Throw some love in the comment section. Share this video with Sitecore to your fellow Sitecore developers. If you are not already subscribed, then hit the subscribe button. Click on a notification bell and stay connected with my Sitecore diaries. Thank you. Thanks for watching.